Good morning, children. I hope you all have done Terminal 1 exams very well. Welcome back to our online classes. Today we are going to learn about a new chapter called Electricity, which is there in CBSE as well as IIT. So I am going to teach you this electricity, both which is related to CBSE as well as IIT. Children, listen to the classes carefully. While the class is going on, you please take down the running notes, which helps you a lot while you are revising, children. So let us start electricity. What is electricity? Electricity is nothing but a form of energy. So what is electricity, children? Electricity is nothing but a form of energy. So for what purposes do we use this electricity? We use this electricity to make our task easier. We use this electricity to make our task easier. So what is our task? Like suppose you want to draw water from a well. So what do? We'll switch on the electric motor. We'll get the water from underground. So we'll take the water. So what happens that electrical energy is getting converted into mechanical energy. Suppose you want to make chutney. What will you do? You will switch on the mixie or the grinder. What is happening there? We are giving electrical energy. As a result, we are getting chutney from the mixie and the grinder, which grinds it very well. So here what conversion we are having? Electrical energy is getting converted into mechanical energy. That's what. So we are using this electrical energy to make our task easier. Not only this, we use this electrical energy to light our houses, roads, and also in industries. Everywhere we use this electrical energy. Okay, children. From where we are getting this electrical energy? We are getting this electrical energy from the power stations. So from where we are getting this electrical energy? We are getting this electrical energy from power stations. Okay, children. Now, what are the different sources of electrical energy? So we are going to learn today about the sources of electrical energy. So what are the different sources of electrical energy? What is the meaning of sources from which we are getting electrical energy? So in these sources, we have different sources of electrical energy, children. We have different sources of electrical energy. In these different sources of electrical energy, we are classifying it as small sources of electrical energy and the bigger sources of electrical energy. So let us see about the small sources of electrical energy. Small sources of electrical energy. What are the small sources of electrical energy? So in this, we'll discuss about the examples like cell. You know cell. Where will you use this cell, children? We'll use this cell in the remotes, TV remotes, toy cars. We'll use this in clocks, in small clocks at home, etc. Then we'll have like button cells. In cells also, we'll have button type cells, small button type cells. Where do we use this button type cells, children? We'll use this button type cells in the wristwatches. Wristwatch. We'll be seeing in the wristwatches this one. Then what type of cells you see? Storage cells. You might have seen for the bikes, the storage cells will be given. Storage cells will be seen. For what purposes these storage cells are used? These are used in bikes to have this headlights, to switch on the headlights of a bike, and also to start the engines, to work. These are all being used. I repeat, children. We have sources of electrical energy, small sources of electrical energy, and the large sources of electrical energy. In small sources of electrical energy, we have cell, button cells, storage cells. What is cell? Cells are being used in TV remotes and toy cars, whatever you play, and also in clocks, small clocks like this. When you take button cells, we use button cells in the wristwatches and like calculators we'll use. Storage cells, we use it in bikes like automobiles for lighting of the headlights, headlamps, and for starting of the engines. So these are the small sources of electrical energy. And these small sources of electrical energy are being classified into two. One is primary sources of electrical energy. Primary sources of electrical energy. Other one is secondary sources of electrical energy. Primary sources of electrical energy. Other one is secondary sources of electrical energy. Before going to this, let us see about what is meant by cell. Let us see about what is meant by cell. So here, cell, what does it mean? Suppose if there is power cut, what do we use? We use torchlight. In torchlight, what is the main source of light? It is nothing but your cell is being used. So what is meant by cell, children? You might have all seen the cell behind the remote cars, torchlight. If you open the torchlight, you will be seeing the cell. So how will be the cell? Cell will be like this, cylindrical in shape, made with metallic. And here you will be seeing a cap-like structure. Here you will be seeing a cap-like structure. So what is this? Cell has two metallic things. One is this cap-like structure and this is metallic base. What do we call this? This is like a hat. We call it as a metallic cap. We call it as metallic cap. And down we call it as metallic base. It is a base for the cell and hence we call it as metallic base. I repeat, children, cell has two important parts. One is the top one metallic cap and the bottom one metallic base. And metallic cap acts as a positive terminal. Metallic cap acts as a positive terminal. Metallic base acts as a negative terminal. Metallic base acts as a negative terminal. How does the cell works? Inside we have chemicals. Inside the cell, what do we have, children? Chemicals. What are those chemicals will give you? Chemicals will give you chemical energy. Chemicals will give you chemical energy. So when this cell is being connected, this chemical energy is being used. So this chemical energy is being used. So when cell is connected, what will happen? On what principle does the cell works? Cell works on the principle of conversion of chemical energy into electrical energy. Children, please note down. What is the principle on which it works? The principle on which your cell works is it converts chemical energy into electrical energy. Chemical energy into electrical energy. Okay, children, once these chemicals are being used up, then what will happen? This cell we cannot use. We have to go for a new cell, new purchasing of a cell. So I repeat, children. So what is the minimum basic source of electricity used in torch cell? What is the source of electricity used in torch cell? It is nothing but a cell. We call this cell as dry cell also. Note down, children. We call this cell as dry cell, and if it is very thin, we call it as pencil cell also. So this normal cell, what you see at home, we call it as a dry cell because chemicals are dry there, dry powder. So dry cell, and if it is thin, we call it as pencil cell. Okay, children. Now let us see what is this cell. In cell, you have two parts. One is metallic cap, other is metallic base. Metallic cap acts as a positive terminal, metallic base acts as a negative terminal. And inside what we have? Chemicals. They will provide us chemical energy. On what principle does it work? It works on the principle that chemical energy getting converted into electrical energy. In this way, we use the cells so that electrical energy is being used for the glowing of the bulb in the torchlight. Not only in the torch bulb, wherever we use, the principle used is chemical energy gets converted into electrical energy. Once the chemicals are used up, this cell we cannot use anymore. We have to go for purchasing of a new cell. Okay, children, this particular part which I explained this belongs to your CBSE, children. This all what I explained here belongs to CBSE. Okay, children. Now we'll see here what kind of cells are these present here. What kind of cells you have, we'll see, children. In cells, we have two types of cells, children. What are the two types of cells you have? Just now I told you, we have primary cells and we have secondary cells. First one is primary cells. Other one is secondary cells. What are the primary cells? Primary sources of cells. What are the primary cells? These cells are nothing but, just now I explained you cells, dry cell, right? All such kind of cells will come under primary cells. What is primary cell? What does it mean? Primary in the cells, the name itself says basic cells. They are the first, innovatively they have created the basic cells, primary cells. So in these cells, suppose the chemicals are being used up, these cells cannot be used once again. So these are non-rechargeable cells. What cells are the primary cells? non-rechargeable cells. Once the chemicals are used up, these cells cannot be used anymore. We have to go for purchasing of a new cell. I repeat. What are primary cells? Primary cells are the cells in which if chemicals are used up, we have to go for a new purchasing of cells. We cannot recharge it, and hence we call non-rechargeable cells. What are primary cells? They are non-rechargeable cells. If chemicals are used up, we have to go for a new purchasing of a cell. So what in this example, the primary cells, the basic examples are voltaic cell, Leclanche cell, bichromate cell. These are very basic cells, Nana. Before the invention of your dry cells, these cells are being used, Nana. If you want extra information about this, you can go for internet searching. The explanation of these cells are not given in your class 6 level, children. And now what I said, that is an improved one, dry cell. These cells are being before the discovery of dry cell, children. So before the discovery of dry cell, these cells are being used. Now dry cell. Now also we can make this cell set like in laboratory level, children. So now all these cells are the examples of primary cells. What we have to remember in this case? In any case of these cells, if chemicals are used, we have to go for a new cell. They cannot be recharged. Then what is second type of cells? Secondary cells. They are the secondary cells. That is, they are rechargeable batteries, rechargeable cells. What is the meaning of this is, if cells are being used, if chemicals are being, if cells are being used, if it is being completed, that is charging is being completed, then we can go for recharging once again. You might have known that the batteries in the bikes is given for recharging once again, and once again they are being used. So these are rechargeable. These cells, no need to throw it out. So once the charging is being completed or chemical is being completed, that once again it will be given for charging, recharging once again. They are the rechargeable cells, children. They are rechargeable cells. So example here, nickel cadmium cells, lithium ion batteries. These are, that means once the charge is being completed, they are once again charged and are being used up, children. They are secondary cells. These are all come under the smaller amounts of electrical energy. They are the smaller sources of electrical energy. They can give only smaller amount. They are the smaller sources of electrical energy. So I told you, sources of electrical energy, two types. One is smaller sources, other one is bigger sources. In smaller sources, we have primary and secondary. What are primary? They are non-rechargeable. What are secondary? They are rechargeable. So in primary example is voltaic, Leclanche, bichromate and dry cell. Dry cell I gave you explanation. Secondary cells is rechargeable cells, nickel cadmium cells, lithium ion batteries. These explanations also not required for your level, children. Okay, children, these are smaller sources. We'll see about bigger sources of electrical energy. What are the bigger sources of electrical energy? The electrical energy which we use at homes for lighting, for running of your refrigerator, TV, all these comes under bigger sources of electrical energy. So to run the industries, factories, so all these comes under bigger sources of electrical energy. So what are these bigger sources of electrical energy? Which you use at home, which you use in industries, factories. These are all bigger sources of electrical energy. Okay, from where we got these bigger sources of electrical energy? Who will produce this electrical energy? This is produced by power stations. So power stations will produce this electrical energy. How the power stations will produce this electrical energy? This electrical energy is being produced by power stations with the help of energy given by water, energy of water, or energy of steam, energy of water or energy of steam is being converted into electrical energy. I repeat children, energy of water or energy of steam is being converted into electrical energy. That electrical energy is being used in homes, industries, factories, everywhere. This is being produced. This phenomenon takes place, conversion of energy of water or steam into electrical energy at power stations. Okay children, now I would like to say you to do the activities. Only we are going to use cells or the batteries which we have discussed in the previous case of smaller sources children. Never we do the experiments with this case, with this bigger sources of electrical energy. These are very harmful, very risk for us. So only we have seen at electrical devices the danger symbol being used. Why the danger symbol being used? Why the danger symbol being used? It indicates that unexpectedly if you touch that or carelessly if you handle that, it will lead you to harm or sometimes to in cases of death. Not only that, the portable generators which are used in the machineries, in the shops or somewhere, those are also danger children. So all these kinds of electrical energy will not be encouraged for doing activities. For doing activities, only cells and batteries are used. To understand this lesson, you go through page number 116 in CBSE textbook as well as in IIT textbook. The first page you go through this children. I hope you understood for today's class. Thank you children. Once revise your textbook. Thank you children.